Howdy, howdy, howdy. Happy Friday. There we go. Okay. Oh, and of course, now my webcam. Come on. Why, oh, why? This was working earlier. Perfect. Let me figure out what's going on here. Whatever. Let me admit everybody all. Admit all. Disable waiting. There we go.
Hey, how's everybody doing?
Happy Friday. I don't know what happened to my webcam. It stopped working.
Oh.
Let me end OBS and come back in. Anyway,
yeah. Hello, everybody. Yeah, your camera is kind of like great.
Yeah, it's weird. It was working fine when I started OBS.
Right.
And then there it is. Now it's back. All right. Start virtual camera.
There you go.
Weird.
Yeah.
Howdy. Who's got something to work on? No.
Here.
I
think everybody's just getting ready for December now.
Crazy.
Yeah. End of the year already. That's so quick. I don't know.
That's awesome. Master Jack saying he just got in AutoHotkey last month and watched a lot of our videos, and it's improved his productivity. Yeah, it is. AutoHotkey is amazing, right? It's just a way to streamline stuff.
Yeah, that's true. And actually, you're lucky that you now have this at least this thing available. When I started out with AutoHotkey,
right?
There were no videos about it. So it was painful, to say the least, to start out. Even though it was like that, it was really easy for me to learn it, which means, hey, AutoHotkey is an easy language, right? Because even if we didn't have those tools, I was able, and many people were able to just learn it by itself, by themselves, right? So.
Isaias, I know actually we were looking at one of your previous scripts before, and you're like, hey, I was actually coding with objects, this and that. But do you recall when you first started with AutoHotkey, did you take the normal route of imitating a human where you're sending mouse clicks and keystrokes?
Yeah, we opened a script today, and I was seeing there that I was sending send control V or something like that, and I was like, yeah, that's how you start, man. Like it was a script from 2010 or something like that. That's what I knew. So it's not bad when you do it. It's just, hey, don't stay stuck with that. Try to learn other ways, because you will figure out that it's going to be better later on. So
better meaning more reliable, consistent transfers across computers, not only your own, but also more reliable on your computer, more efficient, faster. Your scripts will actually work much faster. It's crazy.
That is right.
You wouldn't think so, but when you take out the trying to imitate a human's actions and you're doing it programmatically, it's night and day. I mean, it's got to be like 1,000% faster if I was just to pick a number. Like it's crazy faster.
Yeah.
But of course, this also means you understand, don't put in 10-second sleeps or whatever, right? This is the one thing Isaias and I talk a lot about of how am I programmatically going to detect that the program is ready to move forward instead of just adding a sleep, which is what most of us start off with, and which is what I also say, look, when you're beta testing something and you're just getting it started, put a 5-second sleep. Just, it's fine for your testing, but you want to make sure after you prove that, I do need to figure out how to wait for this thing. Then you go back and say, how am I going to programmatically do this? So the second it's available, I say second, it's really millisecond, right? I mean, that's where it's crazy.
Yeah, that is right. And one of the interesting things, we were talking on the AutoHotkey Hero group that we have on Telegram. Somebody just asked something similar to that. Like he was trying to figure out if a loop finished. And somebody came up with a very interesting concept, which is just grab your text right now, sleep for a time, grab it again, and compare the two and see if it changed. And sometimes just using a sleep and assuming that it worked, like just copy something, sleep for 5 seconds, assume that it worked, and then continue might not be the best approach, because you had to wait 5 seconds, right? And in the end, it might have not worked. So we figure out different ways of doing that. In my case, using his answer, I would say, instead of, he set a timer like 1 second and then 2 seconds. And I was like, instead of doing that, make a 10 millisecond timer. Every 10 milliseconds, check what the text is, compare it. And if they're different, finish the timer. That way, instead of waiting the full 5 seconds, I could just chunk it into smaller pieces of time. And after they are different, then I go out of my loop, and that way I don't have to waste the 5 seconds just waiting for it.
Yeah, we did a good video a while back. I'm going to find it real quickly here. I need to make a pretty link for it, because it's Rumpelstiltskin, like avoid the long sleep, right?
Right.
And that's what we did. We took a set timer and had it doing very short sleeps, but checking over and over, to avoid that. And Ray actually commented. He said he has something to work on. So.
Yeah, and before we move on with Ray, because I think Anthony had a question before that. He was asking on the chat, how do you set up an AHK development environment on a PC for good management of files?
Well, actually, Ray was ahead of that, but.
Oh, really? Oh, I didn't see his.
Right.
Maybe what happens is that he sent it directly to you. So I see what Anthony said, but I haven't seen Ray's question. Okay, so I'm sorry. Answer. No, what I was going to say, for that question, I think that is a general question. So let's give it a general answer. It depends on what you want to do and what you mean by good management of files. In general, just having AutoHotkey installed and your preferred editor is good enough. Now, as soon as you are dealing with other people, like you're going to work with other people, I would definitely suggest Git for that. And if you're going to be using Git, then I recommend using VS Code, because it has very good integration for it. After that, everything else is just opinion. It depends on how you feel more comfortable. So I think instead of,
one other thing I would throw in there, and I'll say I'm going to agree with 99% of what you said. Not that I disagree with it, it's just I think you're right on. I would just add to it, if you're planning to edit in any other language, then AHK Studio is not the thing for you, right? Like Site for AutoHotkey is a great one. Notepad++ is okay, but it's kind of dated at the moment. But yeah, AHK Studio, if you're programming only in AutoHotkey, it's got really great functionality. It comes close to VS Code in the sense of a lot of the stuff, but to Zeus's point, to me, the biggest differentiator is that Git integration. And when either you are sharing your stuff with other people, or you're releasing different versions of your code over time, right? Because that version tracking is also crazy powerful. That's when I would say VS Code is just a rock star, right? And coding in other languages.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. What I'm going to do after we finish with Ray, I will show something that is related to that, which is a folder structure. How would I put my folders and files in a structure that is easy for me to understand? Again, that is just an opinion, and you might change it however you want, but I'm going to do that after we check on Ray's question. So Ray, go ahead. What are you working on today?
First, let me note that Anthony and I are on the same beach.
Yeah, it looks like it. Yes,
that's hilarious.
Just look to your left, you might see him. Yeah.
Okay, a quick share of my screen, if I may.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, which one do I want to share? I want to share this one. I'm clicking share.
You're the one with the girls on the beach. Where's that one? Sorry.
Okay, so you see here Notepad. You see here that works just fine, right? RMM, bang, that works just fine. Then I go to time slips and I go RM, bang, some kind of error. Why won't it work in time slips?
Where's the error? I'm sorry,
Well,
I didn't catch the error though.
I don't get a, I don't get an error message.
Oh, right.
It turns red because time slips doesn't recognize the text or thinks it's a spelling error.
Oh,
And
right.
it
Yeah.
makes a noise and it doesn't expand. So that's the error.
Can I see what you're trying to expand?
Well, just the same thing that I did.
No, I'm
in
sorry. Yeah. So what I'm saying is the code. So
the code.
Well, before we do, Ray, just a reminder, this is streamed to YouTube, so there's nothing personal on here.
Not at this point, no.
Okay, good. Just making sure.
Okay, so you want the code. So here and here.
right.
Okay.
The one that you're trying is RM, right? So can you search for that one?
And are you sure the slip thing, whatever it was called, is not being run as an admin?
Oh, it is actually being run as an admin.
Then your script must be running as an admin as well, because if your script is not, it does not have administrator rights, it cannot interact with anything that is in admin mode. That is one of the things
Okay,
you have to keep in mind.
Is that a good general practice to run the script as an admin?
No.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
I'd say it depends, right? Yeah, it depends on who you are. Everything I do, like, I don't care. I disable UAC and I do all this, but I'm the one using my computer and I understand some basic principles of stuff.
Right. Now there is a different way for you to approach this. Instead of running the script as an admin, you can use the UIA mode. When you install AutoHotkey, they give you the option of installing UIA, and that is a different way that you can do this. Go ahead, Joe.
Is it really UIA? I thought it was called something.
No, it's UIA. So let me share my screen.
Yeah, I mean, I know what you're referring to. I just thought
Yes.
it was one letter different, but
or UAC? No, I think it's UIA.
UAC. Yeah, that's.
But it's not. It's actually UIA. So right now I'm sharing my screen.
That's horrible.
And you can see, right. So this is what it looks like. When you install AutoHotkey, it gives you the option of giving UIA access to stuff. And what it does is that it installs an additional version. So you remember that usually you have the AutoHotkey, the A32, U32, U64, and that's it. But if you include the UIA, you get these additional files. Now, when you run one of these guys, they are not running in admin mode, but they can interact with admin scripts. Okay, so that is one way that you can use. The only thing that you have to do is run your script with this version instead of the other ones. So you can try that.
Okay, just searching to see if I have that installed.
If not, just reinstall AutoHotkey, and in one of the options, it gives you do you want to give UIA access? And this is what it would do. It just creates an additional version for them. Anthony was asking about whether the Telegram channel is open to the public. It's actually part of our Hero members program. So we do have this. I don't know if Joe has the link that he could put it there for the HK Hero membership.
Or over my shoulder, for that matter.
Yeah, exactly. So this is part of a program that we have. And after this free call, we have 2 additional membership calls in which we continue for 3 hours straight, just helping each other. What I mean is like including this one, right? So,
Thank you for answering my question. I'm basically a newbie. I did buy 3 of the courses in Udemy. Now I'm still working on it, but I basically have problems just keeping my computer file system organized. So it's like usually in software development you have production, you have dev folder, and then you have all these then you have these external libraries, and you have these GitHub repos, and then you have things that are exe. So I'm just curious, how do you guys to
Can you-
handle structure
Right.
like that, like bring it all into your computer, keep it clean over months and months of development of creating.
We will talk about
tests.
that in a second. Hold
Hold
on.
on, Anthony, your audio is doing something I've never heard before.
I'm going to tell you what it's doing. So it seems to be that his microphone has an anti-feedback loop thing. So it seems to be that you have the speakers out and the microphone listens to yourself. So it's trying to cut that, but it's doing it in a way that then we cannot understand you that much because it's cutting every single word you're saying. I did get more or less what you were asking about. You were actually referring to the same question again, but just know that you have to put your microphone a little bit more away from the speakers. Yeah, so that it doesn't cut itself.
Or simply, if you have an easy way to do it, turn down your volume when you're speaking.
Right.
And then it'll work.
Now, here's the thing. So your question is really valid. It's about how you keep organized a bunch of files, especially when you're dealing with, GitHub repositories and stuff like that. And it gets very big. I remember when I started working with Joe, I noticed how many scripts he already had, right? And he had thousands and thousands of scripts already done. And I had the same issue. I right away said, okay, hold on, how are we gonna get a handle of that? The first thing is that I keep each project separate by folder. That's the first thing I do. So each folder is actually its own thing. And depending on what I do, I keep certain things separate. One is the source folder and the compiled version. I keep them separate. And I keep the compiled version outside for quick access to it if you're compiling. Now, my source folder, I usually divide it into library folders, resources, and the script files. Anything that is not the main code, so as soon as I have something that is not the main code, I keep it in a library folder. And my library folder keeps the same structure as everything else. Every library has its own folder. So it gets a little bit annoying at first because you have to keep creating these folders over and over. But later in the long run, it makes your life a little bit easier, because especially if you're using an editor like this one, you just refer to the stuff by having a tree view on the left that will keep your code organized for you. So if I'm dealing with this guy, I include my objects. The reason why I use a lib folder is for me to be able to include stuff with the brackets. If you don't have a lib folder, you would have to specify the full path to the thing that you're including. But that's it. So that is my main way of distributing files. I actually have a script that creates that folder structure for me. If I press Control F12, it tells me what the project of the name is going to be. So this is going to be my test project, and hit create. And what it does is that it creates a folder with already the structure that I need. I have some docs, documentation folder, videos folder, depending on what I do. I usually delete those if I don't need them. And I have my licenses, my HTML or READMEs. I usually let go of the info as well. And then I have my source folder, which is divided like this. Again, if you can create a script that creates those files for you, it's great because you don't have to think about it. You just do the structure that you feel comfortable with, and then have a script, just you double click and add that automatically for you. That's what I would do. But again, that's just a folder structure that makes sense for me. There's some other people that don't like using those things or organizing it that way. Just find whatever makes sense to you. But in general, for everybody, I think at least keeping your projects in their own folder, instead of having like one folder with a lot of AutoHotkey scripts, like having a folder with a lot of AutoHotkey scripts is going to get very messy to manage, because one script might need additional files. But if you have each project in its own folder and anything that that project needs is in that folder, that will make your life easier in the long run. That's basically my opinion on that.
And one thing I'd add to that is, and I can, let me go ahead and share. Was where? Let me just open the folder first. So too many Zoom windows. Where this is just there. It is. Oh, there. Come on. It was there. Now it's back. All right, sorry. Here we go. Basic. That one. Move this guy out of the way. So I have, in addition to, because what Isaiah shared, at least the scripts to work on stuff, that's our automator stuff, right? We're working on a specific project, right? I have this AHK work folder. This is something, actually, I wonder if I have the date there. I created it years and years and years ago. This is when I'm learning a new approach, using a new functionality, new something. So it's not a project I'm working on. It's a general approach.
Testing. Yeah.
Yeah, right. It's testing. And so here also I have all my API work. Now, when I pull an API into a project, that's over in like what Isaiah shared with the scripts to work on, right? The specific instance of it. But I find this to help me stay organized. So that way I don't have to remember, hey, I worked on that before. What project was that in?
No,
right. So this is how
you have kind of like you this is looking by concept instead of by project.
Right. Yeah. And then I had so many, I just created one called HK functionality, and not all of these are actually HK functionality, but it's more like a kind of a built-in thing. But it helps me because you see how many folders and stuff I have, right? It's
right. Over time, it gets really complex to manage. And that's basically his question. Like, how do I, using folders is going to help you a lot. It's not gonna hurt having everything separated by folders.
And when I worked in market research, I had a script just like Isaiah's, as where I would say, hey, what's my new project? I type the name and it would create 5 folders under, where my project's thing, and automatically set me up for success. Because otherwise, it's easy to get disorganized when you don't have a quick way to build that structure, right? You're like, oh, I just need to work on this real quick. I don't have time to go do that. But by having a script to go do that for you, it makes it easy, and that way you stick with it.
Yeah, definitely.
I saw Anthony wrote, do you have multiple copies of library folders across different projects?
Yes, but no. So let me explain. That's where a little bit of Git comes into play. Let me share my screen one more time. So even though each project that I have is using a specific library, I keep that library synced with my main version by using Git. Git allows you to create what are called modules. So let me open this up. Submodules. And this module tells it that my script object is actually another Git repository somewhere else, which is located at this location. And when I do that, any changes I do on my script, I can actually sync it to my main repository of that library, so that every time I update stuff, everything is synced. So even if I'm having kind of like a copy of my library in here, any changes I make are going to be synced to all my other scripts are going to be synced. So yes, it's a copy, but it's not really, it is actually a synced copy.
Isaiah, why don't you also just explain, because maybe he's not aware, and it's just good for everybody, right? The AutoHotkey library, functionality as well, right? That you can put your functions in your library and then just put to them, even if which you hate, not even using an include.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So it's not that I hate it, it's just that in the end it causes more issues than what I want to deal with. But here's the thing. If you have a script, and let me open the folder so you can see the structure. As I mentioned before, you have your script here. If you have a lib folder right there, anything that is in there gets included by default in certain circumstances. So if I have, and here on my left, you will see that that's the same. This is my script file, and right next to it is the lib folder. So they're right next to each other. So let's go ahead and do this. I can just clear all the drawings and do this. In my lib folder, I'm just going to click on it and start a new file called, let's say, excel.hk, right? Now, if inside this function, inside this file, I add any function that starts with the same name as the file. So my file is called Excel. If my function starts with that, they will be automatically included on my main script. So let's say my function, and I say message box test, right? So this is my function. Now I could definitely go to my main script and just use that function because it is automatically included based on the name of the function and the fact that it's on the lib folder. It has to be on the lib folder. So right now, if I run my script, what should happen in theory is that AutoHotkey will know where to look for that function, and it will show the message box automatically, which is very interesting functionality. And again, it allows you to not have to deal with includes and stuff like that. But in my case, what Joe was mentioning, I like to say include here Excel, and this is the interesting part. As the Excel library is in my lib function right here, I don't have to put the path. I just put the name of the library like this, and AutoHotkey knows what to do. Even if I don't need to include it, I like to put it here so that it is clear that I need that file, right? But in the end, having the include here or not having it in this particular instance means exactly the same, and the function will still work just fine. This will not happen if the function name does not have the file name in the front. So if you see my function here, if I don't include it and I want to call that function, it's not going to work.
Well, once you, I don't think you actually opened our Excel function library, right?
No, I did not. No.
Just to open it, so I think it's easier to see the pattern of like, oh, okay,
Right.
okay.
Yeah, I will do that in a second. But basically, right now I will get an error saying, "Hey, call to non-existent function," because that function doesn't exist. I have to include the file for it to exist, and now it would work just fine. So just get a hang of the include library. You can go to the help file and go to search for include, and it will tell you how it works with the lib folder, because that's what I'm doing. I'm actually using the lib folder to include stuff, and having that is good. So let me include the functionality from the actual Excel library that Joe is referring to. So I have this Excel file here. We could just copy the path of it and include it.
I also have
that, or we could put it on the library folder as we just discussed. So I could just drag and drop this guy into the library folder if we want to. So I could do that. Let's replace that real quick. So now you will notice that I could access any function that starts with the Excel in front of it, any function that I could call like this would be automatically added into my script. So I could just call it like this, right? And let me see, it would be one for a handle. That would automatically give me a handle, even if I don't include it into my library. But any function that starts with Excel, because the file is named Excel, will be called, it would be included automatically on my script. And if I run this, I should get an Excel pointer here. I didn't get it.
Do you have Excel open?
No, I do not.
Okay, you get that. That is only for.
Oh, for connecting to an existing Excel. Okay, so if I go ahead and open Excel.
But this is a great way when you have functions that are related to each other, like they work on a similar thing. This is a great way to have, you don't have to have each of your functions in a separate file.
In different files, right? You can have them all in one file like this, and all of them now, all of these functions relate to Excel, and you just start them all with the name of the file, and that way your AutoHotkey script will include it, even if you don't mention the include here.
We had a couple more questions. Let's
yeah.
Now, Ray, did you? I don't know if you saw I asked, but if you could type out your question. But what was your question about the executable?
I did type out. I'm at AutoHotkey launch configuration. My options are auto detect or run all scripts with a specific interpreter. I assume that I choose AutoKey 64 UIAEXE.
Hold on, it looks like you downloaded version 2 of AutoHotkey.
Yeah.
Okay, so now it gives you this option of selecting which one you want to run. Is the AutoHotkey script that you mentioned a V1 script or a V2 script?
All created in V1, but they're just string expansions.
Right, okay, that's okay. So what you're gonna do, just use a specific interpreter. At this point, go back where it says AutoHotkey, because all of those are V2 script. Those are V2, all of them. So go back here where it says AutoHotkey. Yeah. And choose one of these guys, which is whichever you actually rather have, and then say open.
But I understood that it was okay to go to version 2 because all I had were just text expansions. I didn't have.
Oh no, so yes, you might want to use V2, but then all your text must be quoted. So just don't use V2 right now, because I think all your text is not quoted. So just use V1 at the moment, because there's a few changes in there that you would have to do on all your scripts, but that's not what you want.
Okay. Okay, so that one.
So what I would do, yeah, so that's that, close it, and let's try it. You have to relaunch the script, by the way, yeah. Now let's try it again. Not really. Can you go to another and try it there? Right, okay. Is that actually running in UIA mode? That's a good question. Can you double click on that, please? Or can you give me control of the computer for a second?
Yes, how do I?
Just, let me just 1 second. I'm gonna ask for it in a second. Right, let me double check something, because the fact that it's running does not mean exactly that it was
right
run with what you think it is. Yeah.
Well,
it is
right
running.
there. It says V1. I thought we were using V2.
I just told him not to do that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
What I'm actually thinking is whether that is running with V. So he installed it. He installed V2, but he was selecting how does he wants to run all the scripts, and I told him select V1, because you can do that. You can install V2 but still run everything with V1.
Yeah.
But in any case, what happens here is what I'm actually kind of like wondering is whether that script really ran with UIA mode.
Well, why don't we do this as a bare minimum? Why don't you
click? Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, why don't you just launch it as
as in admin mode.
admin to see if that fixes, because if that doesn't fix it,
Right, then it is another problem. Yeah, that's true.
right.
So let's go to where the file is located. Where's the script located? Can you go there, please? Ray?
Yeah, I'm doing
Okay. Okay, I didn't see your mouse. What I mean is where the file is actually located, not the editor, but basically the file location, right?
I understand, just
Okay.
getting it now. Where is this script located? I don't know where the script is located.
I think I closed it.
You did indeed. Okay, let me try this then.
There it is. This is my file. Yeah, is it one of those? Right.
Okay, here it is. And what did
Now,
you want?
if you right click, there should be an option run as administrator. Go down, that one. Yeah, try that. And after you do that, go to your other, let's test it and see if that fixes the issue, because that's the question. Yeah,
It does.
it is, because now running with UI. So let's close the script again, close it. Exit, right? Now go back to the folder where it was, right? And right click on it and select run with UI. So right click on it, and this yeah, so below that one, you click that. And let's try it again. So let's go to this, let's test it. You see, so you running it with UI access would help. And notice that it didn't ask you for administrator permissions. Did you see that?
I did.
Right. So the script, when we double click on it, so you can close that now. So sorry, let's close the script one more time.
Oh,
Oops,
sorry. I thought you meant, okay, there and there.
And Isaias, correct me if I'm wrong, this is where Lexicos is signing the script, is that right?
Not exactly. It is doing something a little bit different.
Oh, the local computer.
Right, on the local computer. It's registering. Yeah, right. Yeah, so if you stopped the script right now, so don't do anything else. Did you stop the script? Let's stop it first. Is it not there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that just close it first. Now, as we told the interpreter that whenever you double click on a script, it should run with UIA mode, just double click on it. And let's see if you try it now, if it is working on your. So let's go to the test and try it. Right, because we already said run all scripts with UI access mode, which is gonna allow you to run everything without asking for administrator permissions, but it would allow them to interact with admin programs. That's the best approach on your computer. This only works on your computer because that UIA executable is just signed for your computer, nothing else. But it's a good way of not giving admin to a script, but still interacting with admin programs. That's totally fine.
Great. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And then Brian had a question about, I think it was with GUIs.
Let me see. So
Isaiah, can you hear me?
yes, I can hear you. Can you go?
My issue, I don't know if you can help me with it or not. I hope you can, because it's driving me crazy. Let me show my video real quick for you to be able to see what I'm dealing with. If I click on load, I already started the process. If I hit open, it actually will go through all this is what I have to do to double check if it's actually loading correctly. I'll show you what it does afterwards.
So you're checking for each part of this.
Give me 1 second, Isaiah. I wanted to show you that it actually is checking and it actually is loading the stuff correctly into the GUI, into the way.
Right.
But then it stops square up here. I don't know what the heck is going on with it. And if I actually go down to my coding, my code is the exact same no matter where I'm at on the loading the script. And I'm just not sure where to look to figure out why it's not loading, which is why I have that message box on each one to just make sure it's actually loading into the way correctly, but it's just not updating the way correctly.
Okay, so let me see if I understand. Can you show me the GUI again, please?
Okay, the GUI right here.
So are you, which one is supposed to be filled but is empty? Which one is that one? That one or?
The rest of these,
so all of the one that says main, or which one is supposed to be?
It depends on it. It's supposed to have some, something named talk to, with them, talk sweet, and then down here to conducting, closing him, and closing prayer. Right. All these other ones are at 4, 5, X, 1, 2, 3 are blank.
So these extra ones are blanked, even though you have people in there, right?
I have no one in them right now. That's okay. In case I need to put someone shows up.
Which one is the one that is supposed to be filled, but it isn't? Which one is supposed to have something in it?
That's
this one.
This one. And this one.
So these three should have something, but they're empty, right?
Along with, yes, along with this one.
Okay.
This one.
Okay.
And
let's start with one of them at a time. And this is actually something that is good at troubleshoot. Whenever you're troubleshooting stuff, let's focus on one of them first. Let's go to talk to. Show me that one in your code. Talk to. Just focus on talk to only.
Okay, so that should pull up GUI number 13.
Talk
and
to.
And it's right here is where it should be loading in.
So
and
which one?
It's 1 second. It's right here. I have it set up as GUI control text.
No, remove that.
What should I put? Because that's a GUI. That's a combo box, and if I don't have that, it won't work.
Combo box.
Yeah,
let me see that in your. Let me see that on your GUI again.
I have it on the combo box.
I don't think. So hold on. I'm sorry. Let me ask you the question. Show the GUI, and I will ask you something. So
okay.
Oh, so those are combo boxes. Oh, okay. Yeah, I understand now. Okay, can you pull that off, please? Can you open that? What is it? Is it really empty?
No, it's not. It's got a bunch of different names to it.
Can you click on it? So you didn't select the correct one. Can you click on it?
I don't want to because it would expose.
Oh, right. I'm sorry. Okay, so what happens is, okay, so you're trying to set some text in it, even though you're not. Is that text that you're adding doesn't exist on the box?
Correct.
Okay, so it doesn't. Okay, so you're just trying to set the box in it. Now, here's the question. Can you go back to the code, please? Let's go back to the code.
Okay, 1 second.
Right. So here's the question. I see that you have a message box for 12, but you don't have a message box for 13. Can you show a message box in 13? Because that's the thing. It should, if it is empty, it's not going to add anything in it.
Okay, so 1 second. Let me copy this. Bring it down here. I thought my issue started at 12, but then a guy on the Discord actually told me why I was having the issue I was having was that one was deliberately left blank because it's not where the actual issue is pointed. When I get to that.
Right. So what I would say, and this is, I think this one is a little bit more complex than you might think, because I would have to understand your code a little bit better. But and actually, with the message boxes that you're doing right now, you see that you have a lot of them. How do you know which one you're referring to? So
actually checking to see if it is loading into the way correctly, meaning that the file loaded.
What I would check right now is this here. You see this name that says slot 13. Find it again, because probably either the name of the control is incorrect or this is empty. One of the two. That's the only thing that could happen. Either the name of the control is wrong, which I see here. One of them says slot 12 title, right? So I don't know if you're using the right name. I don't know.
The names are the exact same.
Right, so that's that one, yeah.
It's all the same. It's kind of funny. All my GUI has about 26 lines because what I'm doing, and
yeah. So yeah, so 11, I see slot 12 here, but 13. So there is 13. You have the title, and then you have the slot, which is a combo box. So that's okay. The only thing is, again, maybe then look at that. I see you have your title here, but probably the variable that you're trying to access is empty, and you will have to know why is empty. So I would really check this one on a different time. Probably you can contact us and we can talk a little bit more, so we can give anybody else a little bit chance of checking this out, because I cannot really at this point give you an answer, because I don't know how you're feeling those arrays. So either the array is empty or the variable is incorrect. And I would have to see a copy of the code for me to figure that one out. It's a little bit bigger of a question than it looks like, actually.
Okay, what's it going rate to work you guys for a couple of hours?
I'm sorry?
What do you guys normally charge?
I think Joe might give you some information. Just contact him privately on that one, and he might actually give you a little bit of an idea on that.
Well, we have our Black Friday sale still going on, so you get 40% off. But
wow, yeah.
But if you go to, I'll put the link in the Zoom, I guess in both chats.
Right.
Because
this way, if you have information in there that might be private, so you might be able to talk to us a little bit better, and we don't stream that, and then I would be able to really test this, because it looks like there's a lot of things going on, and I don't know exactly which one is the issue. All right. Does anybody else has a question that we can help with?
Okay, so yeah, this is Steve.
Hey, Steve.
Hey, Steve.
So I saw your video yesterday, and that reminded me. It's like, well, I haven't had a chance to update my AutoHotkey in quite some time. So
yeah,
I just went ahead and did that. Ironically, not more than 5 minutes before you guys started here. And lo and behold, I'll share my screen, and I'm getting this Windows is trying to be helpful and save me from installing AutoHotkey.
Oh, no, yeah. I know what that is. Yeah.
Oh,
We
okay.
get that all the time. Yeah. Those are the false positives with the AutoHotkey installer and those kind of things. This is something that many people do not realize. A lot of people who try to automate stuff, they usually end up automating games. And then game developers flag AutoHotkey as, you know, they're bad because they're cheating, right? So AutoHotkey is a language. It is usually the language itself does not have any problems because the language doesn't do anything. It does whatever you tell it to do.
Right.
But as many people use it for doing stuff that they shouldn't, right? AutoHotkey ends up being flagged very often as malicious, even though it isn't. So one way, and this is good that you mentioned this. Let me do this. You were sharing your screen at the moment, right? So
yeah.
Go ahead and show me what you were getting. So yeah, this is the latest version. You try and it says smart screen prevented an unrecognized app from starting. AutoHotkey, this is a very new file. Every time you run an executable, you don't know this, but Windows, what it does is that it sends a copy to the Microsoft servers. And if they see that it's a file that nobody has opened very often, they don't know what it is. And they give you this information and say, hey, this is a file that we don't know about. Do you really want to run this? But this is one of those creepy things that OS do. Every time you double click a file, they send a copy to their servers, right? Which is good and bad at the same time. Depends on how you want to look at it. Now you click on more info right now. And then it allows you to say, hey, this is an unknown publisher. You see that? That's the reason why they flag it, because in order for you to be able to publish your stuff, you have to pay a very hefty price. There's a price that...
Yeah, I remember,
right.
you know, for the quick access pop-up, Gene was
right.
talking
So
about that. Yeah.
It is a very hefty price that you have to pay. Some people say, I'm not going to pay that. And AutoHotkey is a free tool, so nobody's paying for that.
Right.
So that's the reason why Microsoft doesn't want to trust the executable. It's up to you to do your work and check on that. I will show two things on how to do that. But in general, at this point, when you click on that, you get the option of run anyway.
The minute I saw that unrecognized app, I'm saying, okay, I wonder if it's because it's not signed, you know? And
it is exactly because of that. Yeah. Yes, that's exactly the reason why. You just run anyways.
And now we know why.
Right, exactly.
We got to start accepting donations for AutoHotkey, yeah.
Right. But
speaking of which, though, real quickly, because we did this video just the other day on the, what was it, 34? I forget the version, but it was just released. And then Isaias is like, oh crap, hey, there were a couple issues with this that I noticed with the switch.
Exactly 36, right.
36.
Exactly 36.
So this morning Lexicos actually released 36.01. So
which fixes that.
Yeah, which fixes it. So if you did actually take our advice and update yesterday, go do it again today.
It would have been worth it.
No, actually, and this is the funny thing. We should do this before actually making the video. I should download it and test it myself before.
Yeah, but, I mean, there's 8 million things that could be wrong, right?
Yeah.
That's right.
But in
general,
there were some really cool. And now, Steve, did you see that video?
What do you mean by that video?
The one where we just
did yesterday, where you're talking about 136 and the version compare feature.
Yeah, right. That's what
Yeah,
there was some really cool stuff.
Yeah, that was amazing, frankly.
Right, and then that's the point. So as you can see now, it's not 36.00, it's 36.01 because he went ahead and fixed that right away. So that was great. It was a very interesting thing. But let me go ahead and share my screen for a minute.
Sure.
Let's just go ahead and show something.
Also, the requires command, being able to have bitness and Unicode, and
the requires command now is great on that. But for anybody, if you at any point are not willing or you're unsure of whether you want to run a script or a file that is executable, just go to virustotal.com. which what they do is that they allow you to send a file to them, right? And in this case, I would send the setup, for example. Let's send the setup. And it just goes ahead and runs it against 71 antiviruses and gives you their report. Usually, if a file is not a virus, mostly what is going to happen is very low percent of the viruses is going to report it as a virus. So some of them, and you can tell their names like Secure Age Rising or Sentinel-1. I don't know, not even know what they are. You can find other, Google antivirus, the Icarus, the Kaspersky, or, McAfee. They run it against all of them, the Microsoft ones. And you could see that none of them detected anything wrong with it. If you have a very low rate of being detected, it's usually false positives. Okay, that's what is going on. If it is a high number of them, then it is highly likely that whatever you have in there has an issue. So what I would often suggest, if you are not sure about running a file or checking for it, just run it against VirusTotal and see how many there are. And hash the file and,
Isaias, while you're here, show how, like, let's say we believe AutoHotkey is fine. In here, you can actually say, hey, I know this file and it's okay, right?
Right. They do have the option for the community, especially if you are logged in. It allows you to have the comments from the community, and you can either score it yourself. You can either score it as a good file or a bad file. Of course, you have to register yourself. I think you could use Google to sign in, which is what I usually do for most of my stuff. I just sign in with my Google account if I can. And now I have the option of just sharing, hey, no, this is a good file.
Yeah.
So I just do this.
It would be really interesting to me if, because we have a pretty decent community, right? To say, hey, everybody, go here.
Just go here and
say this
mark
is okay.
it as a file.
And maybe with 30 people, maybe that actually would have enough influence to get it not flagged as often.
That is correct. That is something that I would definitely suggest. Hey, just go. If it is the new setup file, just score it as a good one. It is not bad. But again, there is another way whenever you're going to, and this is, you must do this if you're not sure about stuff. You can go to the AutoHotkey download section, and you can see the other versions here. For the other versions, when you click on one of the releases, say 0.1, right, you will see all the files that are available. For example, the 36 setup is here, but you have the hash file. This hash file is a way for you to validate that you downloaded the correct version that was not modified by anybody. Because as soon as somebody modifies the setup, the hash is going to change.
You know what, Isaias, we should plan a video explaining the hash and how to do that comparison, because I see it in a lot of tools, and I personally never go check, but it is something that a lot of people like to say.
That is something
you're getting what they released, right?
Right. That's the way how you do it. You get a file that has a hash value. You will see that it's just a number. You see this hash file. You could then get the hash of the executable that you downloaded, check its hash, and if it is that hash, great. You don't have to do anything. If it is not that hash, well, you don't have the correct file on your hands, and then you have to double check whether you have, that you're doing that it was not modified. So just know that there are different ways for you to double check that you have the correct thing, and if it is not, then take precautions. I also have virtual machines. You have virtual boxes that I could just go ahead and run stuff in it if I don't want to run it on my main computer. That's a good thing to do as well, right? So
we gotta run over to the hero call. Thank you all.
I use a tool called HashOnClick.
Yes.
To go ahead and do that. Yeah, makes it very easy.
Right. Then you know now where to get the hashes for the AutoHotkey executables. Just go ahead and get them from there and compare whenever you want before running it. and you should be good to go.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for being here. Like I said, if you're interested in more, the Hero Group, yeah, it's paid, but right now with the 40% discount, I don't know what it breaks out to, maybe like $8.99 a month. You get access to the 3 hours a week of our calls, plus the Telegram group where we're constantly helping each other. As Ace and I, try to help it, but like this morning, Hero members were helping other Hero members, right? It's a really great place to be able to ask questions at any point during the week, right? You don't have to wait for our calls. So thank you all. See you. Have a great week. Enjoy December. We'll see you soon. Cheers. Bye.
Bye.